Hello everyone, this is the Gaming Preacher. Welcome back to another Medal of Honor Warfighter informational video. On this one we'll be talking about the support actions that are available for each class in the game. And we've got a gameplay on Somalia Stronghold playing in the box there. This is a sector control match. I'm going to be using the Spec Ops class with the variant of the MP7. Now as we go through each class here, I'm also going to mention the abilities that come with each class, although I don't have them written on the screen there. Starting with the Assaulter class, the two abilities you have there is a 40mm grenade launcher and also an M67 frag grenade. Now as we look at all of these support actions, be aware that the defensive actions that are listed are the same for all classes. So we're not really going to spend a lot of time focusing on those. Now for the Assaulter class, regarding the offensive support actions, and when I say support action to a Call of Duty player, that would basically be like a kill streak that you earn. The first in Tier 1 for the Assault class is a 60mm mortar. This is a good way to bring in indirect fire on enemy positions, and you just have to remember that you have to get eyes on target pretty much. You bring up your binoculars and you use a laser sight to designate the target area. At Tier 2 you get a guided missile. This is similar to a Predator. It's a precision missile strike. On Tier 3 you get a cluster bomb. These are A-10s loaded with cluster bomb munitions that cover, a fairly broad area, not as large as what we might have in Call of Duty with a stealth bomber. Then on Tier 4 you have an Apache Pilot that you can call in. The player who activates this action can pilot the aircraft and is armed with rockets, and then your fire team partner can actually man the 30mm cannon that's on it as well. Looking at the Sniper class, the two abilities that you get with this one is a bipod deployment, which we've talked about before, and also the M86 pursuit deterrent munitions. This is kind of the booby trap mine that people can throw out, and it sends cables out to attach to a wall, to a door, to vegetation, to whatever, and it basically creates a booby trap for the enemies. Now these are visible, you can see them on the ground if you're looking, and they do give a beep as a warning before they explode. So you can shoot them and you can blow them up. As far as the support actions for the Sniper class, on Tier 1 you have a cool little thing called a Switchblade. This is a small recon UAV that will patrol the map. You don't really have a whole lot of control over it. I'm not real happy about that. It sort of flies in a straight path, so when you deploy it you need to sort of make sure that you point yourself toward where the enemy is at. Now this Switchblade is also armed with an explosive warhead, so you can use it almost like a guided missile before you're done with it. Next at Tier 2 we have an 81mm mortar, which is similar to the 60mm we talked about before. At Tier 3 you have rocket artillery. This is a rocket artillery that's fired in pairs, and its airburst proximity fuse sort of vaporizes anything that's within its kill radius. At Tier 4 we have an Apache Pilot, same as the previous class. Has the rockets, and then your fire team partner can man the cannon. Looking over the Demolition class, this one has two abilities: ballistic armor, which allows you to sustain heavier damage, to be less susceptible to explosion. Also a Simtex remote charge, which is basically what we would call a C4. Now be aware that with the Demolition class, when you're wearing that armor, you can also arm and disarm devices faster than any other class, so that's handy if you're playing an objective match. Now the multiplayer support actions for Demo class, you have first off the M32, which is a 40mm semi-auto grenade launcher, has a 6-round magazine, so that can really saturate an area with grenades. Next up you have a SMAW, a shoulder-launched multi-purpose assault weapon. It has a fairly big explosion radius and can be used, obviously against personnel, but also against positions that they're holding. At Tier 3 you have an MUSA robot. This is a remote-controlled assault robot, and this one is armed with an LMG and a 40mm grenade launcher with 4 rounds. If you leave this robot alone, it will actually sort of be in sentry mode and will fire on anyone that comes in front of it. At Tier 4 on this one you've got the Apache Pilot, which is the same as the other ones that we've already mentioned. Next, on the Heavy Gunner class, the two abilities you have here is a bipod deployment, and you also have V40 mini frags. These are sort of a random spread pattern. When you throw those out, you'll see 3 small grenades being thrown. On the multiplayer support actions for the Heavy Gunner class, you have first off at Tier 1 the Black Hawk Transport. When you call this one in, it will come in at whatever general area where you called it in at, and it will allow your fire team to spawn within the chopper and rappel down. Now the gunner can also have the ability to man the minigun to help support ground operations. But be aware, you don't have a wide radius on this gun when you're manning it, so the success of that's really going to depend on where you position the chopper when you call it in. Next at Tier 2 you have an MK-19. This is an automatic grenade fire. It's really effective, but you can only deploy it one time. You can't reposition it once you put it out. Tier 3 you have a Black Hawk. Now this is a helicopter gunship. Lasts a little longer than the smaller Little Bird helicopters, and it has a combination of a minigun as well as rockets. At Tier 4 again you've got the Apache Pilot, which all the other classes have as well. Now looking at the Pointman class, the two abilities for this one, you have high power ammunition, and that's really good for taking out people who are wearing the armor. You also have a flashbang. Now for the multiplayer support at Tier 1 you have an RQ-11 Raven. This is just basically a UAV. You throw it out almost like you would if you've ever made a paper airplane and you throw it. That's the same way you throw out the Raven. So you want to make sure that you sort of aim it toward the direction where you think the enemy is going to be. At Tier 2 you have an airburst mortar. This engages the enemy that maybe are behind cover. When direct fire might not work as well, or frontal assault is too dangerous, then you can use this airburst mortar attack. Tier 3 you have the Little Bird chopper. This is close air support. Once targeted, it will make a pass across with the miniguns, and then it will follow up with a rocket attack. And at Tier 4 again you have the Apache Pilot. In the last class here, the Spec Ops, your first ability is a signal scan, and what this does is when you activate it, it locates and designates enemy positions around the area where you're at. It will basically change the view of your screen, and you'll see it in this gameplay here. And you can use this maybe before you go into a building, or as you're going around corners to check to see if the enemy is there. And the second ability on this one is a frag grenade. Now the Tier 1 support action on this one is a radar jammer. This is a countermeasure device. It disables UAVs, causes the enemy munitions to detonate, and also disrupts enemy radar devices. Next up at Tier 2 you have the 120mm Dragonfire. This is a heavy mortar system, and once you deploy it, it lays rounds on targets in less than about 15 seconds. At Tier 3 you have the A-10 Warthog. This is a gun run. It's capable of laying down a barrage of cannon fire over a combat area. So you need to make sure again that you designate that to sort of the general direction where you think the enemy might be. Again at Tier 4 on this one you have the Apache Pilot. Now just real quick, as far as the defensive items here, these are fairly self-explanatory. The first one there is smoke screen, and that's the same for all classes. You bring that in kind of like you would a mortar. Tier 2 you have a fire team Replenish. At Tier 3 you have an RQ-7 Shadow, which is another type of UAV. So those are the support classes that you have available for you. They work, like I said, similar to kill streaks and Call of Duty. You gain them by earning certain points at each level. So it kind of operates on a score chain type system. Well, I hope this information was helpful for you. Maybe it'll make you enjoy the game or understand the game better, or maybe it'll make you a better player. I'm still waiting for that to happen for me. If you got any questions, leave me a comment below. Let me know what of these support actions maybe you like the best, or which one you use the most. And as always, y'all gonna have a great day, and God bless. Bye.